new district application that we purchased for middle schools and for elementary schools. It's called Newsela. Some of y'all might be familiar with it. We did have it a couple of years ago, and they decided to bring it on back. So there have been some changes from 2 years ago to now, and a lot of good changes, a lot of changes to where students get to do a lot of open-ended responses, because back then, 2 years ago, it was just for multiple choice questions that you couldn't really change. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all. And let me show you what it looks like. All I did actually was, you can find Newsela on Clever. It looks a little different on my screen because I'm using one of my friends who's a teacher, their account. But all you have to do is go to My Apps and then just go to Clever. And then once you go to Clever, you will see Newsela on there as well. So you will see Newsela, and this is the icon of Newsela. So going into the program, when you get in, if you get in today, this is exactly what it looks like. It has all the newest articles that you see that Newsela has uploaded. They upload at multiple articles every day. So if you want to see just the robustness of all of the articles that they have, you can actually just go to the search. We're going to go through some of the tools. So first, what I want you all to focus on is, if we go to the search button up here, you can go ahead and type a subject up here if you want. And then they have these other buttons that you can go ahead and press. So by default, what it's going to do is it's going to start you off at all content types. So this one is just articles that they upload by the date. And if you look closely, they have what you would call these subtitles. So these subtitles are really important because each subtitle is something different when you go ahead and click these. These aren't exactly, depending on what the subtitle says, sometimes it's the article, which it'll take you straight to the article, and I'll show you what it looks like in just a little bit. Sometimes it's a novel study, sometimes it's a book study. So what we're going to do is go through those in just a bit. I do just want to, I almost forgot, I was jumping the gun. I wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping rules. Please keep your mic muted. Feel free to type in any questions in the chat. I got Debbie and Valentin that are going to go ahead and be my moderators for today. They'll let me know if there is a question in the chat. If you haven't registered for the chat, the PD number is 293449, and our checking code is PSJA 10. So now let me get on with Newsela. And like I said, Newsela is a new literacy tool that a middle school and elementary is adopted. I'm going to go ahead and show you what it is and how you can utilize these tools in the classroom. So like I said, when you get into the Newsela website, if you go by search, you can go by all content types, which will show you different kinds of content in no particular order, and it'll just go from newest to oldest. You can search by article. Now, article will just take you straight to the article itself. I'm going to show you how an article is different than an instructional set and different types of sets in just a little bit. So these are articles. The good thing about these articles is you can actually set a range of lexile levels that you want to have the students go through. So if I'm going to do junior high and I want to focus on kind of like the junior high lexile level, what you could do is do a reading level that maybe starts a little bit below junior high, so maybe 4th grade. And you know, if you wanted to go to the max, you can do that. If you apply this filter, it'll change the articles. You can even go by grade level and add middle school grade level, and you can go ahead and press apply on that as well. So now you see the articles are changing a little bit. You can go through instructional features, power words, are vocabulary words that we're going to see in just a little bit. And then they have these reading skills. If you want articles that focus on main idea and key details, you can do that too. So there's a lot that you can actually filter in terms of what type of article that you're looking for. So it could get pretty granular if you want it to do. Another thing that you will see right when you get to the search item, the search bar, is you can check out these worksheets. Now, these worksheets are pretty cool. You can download them. What I would recommend that you do, if you want to still go paperless, I mean, there's nothing wrong with printing them out for your kiddos if you have the time. But see, we have some really cool worksheets here. So like we have a triple Venn diagram. So you can download it as a PDF. And what you could do is go on Nearpod. You can upload these worksheets as a drive. And then you can have the students do like a text box. So going off of the article that the students read, if they read 2 articles over a similar topic, they can do, they can fill out a Venn diagram either by manually on drawing it. They could put in text boxes. So that's a pretty good idea. They even have math resources. I'm sorry, I thought you could use this as a math resource, but this is a timeline that you can do as well. But it made me think of a number line. So there's multiple uses for these worksheets here. And then they have things like central idea, which this is one I like a lot because I'm going to show you in a bit that you can section off the paragraphs in the Newsela articles and then having the students read section one, what was the central idea. So this is a pretty cool worksheet as well, but there's a good amount of worksheets that you can go through. Feel free to use them as a printout, or like I recommend, use it as a draw it on Nearpod, and then you can have the students kind of go through there. One thing that is different from the last time we had Newsela till now, from 2 years ago, well, the worksheets were different, and also they didn't have videos. So they do have videos that they don't go for every single article that Newsela has. They're kind of few and far between, but and they're really good for enrichment, right, of what the students just read. The only downer about these videos is that they do not have the checks for understanding that you would see in a Nearpod video, or one that you can grab from YouTube, throw it into Nearpod, and then you can do those checks for understandings. These ones, like this one right here, is 324. You're going to have to do your own pausing and explanation, and so on and so forth. Going on to the next little subtitle here on standards. Another one of the things that is also doesn't really align with with our TEKS is the standards. These are your Common Core standards. So if you wanted to try to find a way of which Common Core standard matches a similar TEK, you'd have to kind of do that on your own. So these standards don't really apply to our TEK alignment. And then we have text sets. So these sets, these text sets, what these are is if you go into the library, there's going to actually be multiple articles that are related to one central theme. So this text set, it's talking about 2 types of energy. It's talking about matter and energy, and it's talking about how roller coasters work, which I'm not super sciencey, but I know that probably has to do with like kinetic energy or something like that. So you see, these sets, they try to group them together. And the good thing about these sets, it does tell you what the grade levels are, and then what it is that you can expect. What is your essential question? What are the instructions, which I think are pretty cool. And then, like I said, you can go through these articles individually. So now that we're kind of more familiar with navigating Newsela, what I want to show you, I'm gonna show you a couple of differences of these subtitles of what you're going to see. So, one quick second. Now that we know what we looked at text sets, so we know that they're a set of articles that are within a similar topic. What we have also is, let me look up something like, I'm going to look up something. So Civil War. So if I look up the topic of Civil War, right here, I see different subtitles. So let's go to instructional set first, because I actually think that this is one of the more beneficial ones that I think is really good for enrichment time. Now, I know that these Newsela articles haven't been embedded into the curriculum yet, but I think until they do, I think a really good idea what we can do for these articles is use them during our enrichment time. If you have literacy days, like I know in some schools in middle school, they have literacy days. This is really good to help to use during literacy days and enrichment time. So let's go ahead and let me show you what an instructional set looks like. So an instructional set actually shows you similar themes of, so these are all having to do with the Civil War, right? But the cool thing about it is it gives you a lesson guide. So it gives you on here your lesson objective. It gives you your lesson sequence. It gives you some essential questions that you can ask the students as you go on. Let's see, what else does it have here? It has an extension here. Oh, these are more articles. This is a video that they included about it, and this is a graphic organizer. So this is a really good tool. These are questions that you can ask with the video that it just gave you on the extension, and then they give you key terms that you can give to your students and that you could put on the word wall. So I think one of the most beneficial tools that you're going to find in Newsela is if you actually find a set that is called an instructional set. In my opinion, that's probably your go-to there. They also have what is called a topic. These topics are similar to instructional sets, and I have these key terms in the PowerPoint if you guys want to look at it, what the differences are. The only difference between the instructional set and topics is that these are longer. So it's similar, but like if you look right here on my screen, you see that its estimated duration is 1 to 2 weeks. So that's different too. They do have units. They do have units as a subcategory. And the thing about units, which is right here, these are even longer, which I'm not sure if I would recommend, because if you look at my screen, these are 6 to 8 weeks. So I don't know if we have that kind of time, but I really do think instructional sets and articles are your way to go. So let's get into an article, what it looks like, and the tools that you're going to see in it. Let me go ahead and search for an article. If we go ahead and go back to our Civil War topic, let me go to here. I'm going to go ahead and click this topic, and then there should be an article in here. Should be an article here. Sorry, give me one quick second. Here we go. So we go ahead and pick an article here about the Civil War. What I want to show you is some of the tools. This is what it's going to look like when you barely get in. They have the they have the title of the article, and then they always have a poll question. And the poll question is the same in every single article that you're going to click on, but I'm going to show you how we can edit that in just a second. Let's go ahead and look at the tools first. So first, they have a share tool on the left-hand side. You can share this article with your Google Classroom, and that's what we're going to go ahead and do later. If you save this article, it'll go ahead and save onto a collection of articles. So I'm saving this one. If I go to another article I like, I can save it there. And in one of the headers, it'll show, like right when you get into Newsela, it'll say my saved articles. You can actually go in and hide articles from students for your class. These are my classes right here. You can go ahead and, if you don't want a student to see this article because maybe you're thinking about using it in the future, go ahead and hide it. And then you can unhide it later on and then assign it to your class. You can create a set for yourself. So you're creating your own collection. This is presentation mode. So if you're going to show this on a new line board, this would be a really good option of doing it in reading it with your class, and it kind of gets rid of the tools. You can go ahead and do it that route. So it's a really nice, cleaner looking way of doing it. And then you can get out of presentation mode by clicking this X. You can change the text size. So if you go to the article, if you change the text size to medium, to large, you can go ahead and do that as well. This is what I was talking about earlier. You can have this count tool. You can use this count tool, and the good thing is, like every paragraph or subparagraph, it'll number off. So one of the worksheets that we saw a while ago was talking about, well, what's the main idea of certain paragraphs? You can go ahead and combine this tool with that worksheet, and it would be a pretty cool tool for students. So you could say, hey, what was paragraph 1, the main idea, paragraph 6, paragraph 7, and so on and so forth. So I think that's a good tool in itself. The next tool is listen. So I don't think it's going to let me share audio with you all. Let me try to do that. No, it's not going to let me do it, but it works just like read aloud. So let me go back to the screen. And if you press listen, it will actually, it reads the title. It reads the title of the article, and then it goes on, and then it goes, you can see right here that it's reading it aloud. An alternate to this that you can do by yourself, I did this on my own just because I feel like it would be a good tool. You can actually highlight it, and if you want to use if you want to use immersive reader on, actually, it would actually be open with immersive reader. So you can, if you have a student where, you know, immersive reader isn't on here natively, but you can go ahead, and we have immersive reader on all Chromebooks. So you can highlight text, you can go to immersive reader, and then it'll show up here, and you can use it just like you would anything else. So I think that's a really good tool. If you don't want to just do just the read aloud, go ahead and you right click some text, and it'll be immersive reader. Oh, I got out of that one. So give me one quick second. Let me go back. And let me go ahead and show you guys a few other things here. Okay, so now that we know what some of the tools are on the left-hand side, what we can go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can edit the poll question. So you could choose another poll by clicking right here. And they have some that are already like pre-assigned. So does this topic excite you? Have you heard of this topic before? And then again, you can do the one that it has by default. So it does give you some options to kind of play around with. You don't always have to stick with how does the image make you feel. So that's something you can do. And then you can press assign and it'll kind of update. So that's one thing that you can do. If we look on the right-hand side right here, this is where our activities are. So for the most part, most articles are going to have activities. Not all articles have activities, but most do. So let me show you what some of these do. When you do the annotation tool, which is the very top one, if you go ahead and click annotations, you can highlight text, and it'll give you the option right here to annotate. So click on annotate, and it'll highlight it'll highlight in a different color everything that I just highlighted. So you could do yellow, you could do blue, and then you can make a note for yourself. So you could say, this is important. And then you can save it. And then right here, it'll say, this is important. If I see something down here that I want to highlight as well, and then I'm going to go ahead and annotate, I can change it to a different color. So I'm going to leave this yellow and put, remember this location. So I can go ahead and press save. So it'll show you. And then if I go even further down, I can make one last one. And I'll put, remember this. And I'll put pink. So you can even move through notations. You can kind of go through, and it'll follow you wherever you click a little bit. So, all right, it's supposed to. See, so I clicked the one at the bottom, and it went all the way to my bottom annotation. So it has annotating tools. Let's go back to what else it has. It has quizzes for most, like I said, most of the articles, and all the quizzes are only 4 questions. It'll show you the answers to all of the 4 questions. That you can go ahead and press next, and it'll show the next question and the answer, next question, answer, and so on and so forth. So it has quizzes. It has a writing prompt. So what it can do is you can edit the writing prompt yourself and put, what was the main idea of this article, and then you can save it. Or if you want, you can actually use one that AI created. So AI created about 5 per article. So you can go ahead and use this one, or you can go ahead and refresh it. It'll do another one and another one. So whichever one you want to do. And you can use one of these, or you could do your own.
Marco, we can't hear you.
Marco, we can hear you.
Let me go tell him.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he hears us.
And if you go to the quiz for,
Oh, he's back.
oh, sorry.
We can hear
Can
you
you guys
now.
hear me?
But now we can. You came back.
Oh, okay.
So back up just a couple steps.
Oh, okay. Great. Can you hear me now, Debbie?
Yes.
Oh, weird. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Um, y'all can hear me now, right, Debbie?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Something happened with my headphones. So there are always going to be quizzes, not always, but most of the time, where they have RLA type questions and RLA type writing prompts, but they also have social studies type questions that you would see more like on a U.S. history STAR test. And then they also have social studies types questions. And like I said, you can either edit the questions yourself, like main idea. You can do you can edit it and do what is the main idea. And then here you can generate one from AI, and then you can copy it. You can copy it and then you can save it here, and then that'll be the question for the student. So it has essentially two types of questions. They have quiz questions, which are for multiple choice questions, and then they have writing prompts, which is student response questions. So these are what you can do. I don't have students on here, and they haven't started it on it yet, but you can review student work. And anybody who starts on the assignment, you're going to go ahead and see in thumbnails who started on it, and you can click on their article, and then you can see what they've annotated, what questions that they've answered, and then you can see their writing prompt. I have a few minutes left, so I'm going to try to go a little bit quicker here. Sorry about that, guys. Let's see how you can assign it. It's very similar to Google Classroom. So if we're going to assign this article, like we really like it, we'll hit assign, and you can either pick small group. So I can select certain students in this class if I wanted to, and I wanted to do these 3 students and put save. And I wanted to change the Lexile level for these 3 students to a little bit lower. I could go ahead and do that. And then I could put which activities that I want to assign. So if I don't want the ELA writing prompt and I don't want the ELA quiz, I just want social studies, you can go ahead and do that. And last but not least, there's this important toggle that says students can change level. You can turn that off, because what students can do is when they start the assignment, they see that they're in grade 5, they can change it to grade 3 on their own. So you want to make sure that this toggle is off, and at least that's what I would do. I also check these off too. Students can change the article's language, because you can choose English and Spanish. I take that off. And students can listen to the article. I keep that on. But again, it's all about preference. So once you have, like right here, student group, I'm just going to do this as an example for these students. I'm going to go ahead and put create assignment. So it'll tell you at the top, so the assignment has successfully been created. And what the students would see when they get into Newsela through Clever is if they click on their assignments tab, they're going to go ahead and see on their end the assignment that they had gotten. So this one was the one I just put out there. Nobody's seen it because I just assigned it literally right now. But this is when the student goes to their own assignments, they're going to go ahead and click this, and then the assignment will pop up. You can actually see, I'm going to go over super duper quickly what data would look like. So I know I have about 5 minutes left. So I want to go to an article that students actually did work on. Once the students have done the assignments, like the quizzes and the short answer questions, they'll actually have some data here. I think I clicked on the wrong one. Give me a second. Right here. So once students finish the assignments, they can go check out, the teacher can go ahead and check out the data. It'll see what date the article was viewed, how much time was spent reading it, what Lexile level. See, the teacher didn't set the Lexile level for here, or the article level, so students were changing it. Most of it left it the same, but students changed it. One did it to 12, one did it to 3, and then you get to see this information right here. So this student got 100 on the ELA quiz. And then if you want to see what they wrote, you can go ahead and put score now, and it will show you actually what your students, it actually shows all of them, but it will show you what they answered for their short response question. So this one put your eyesight could go bad if you keep watching your phone. They're talking about mental health and TikTok. So it does have it's very similar to Nearpod in the sense where you can check how do they do in multiple choice and how do they do in a free response. So these are some of the tools that you as your students are doing assignments, this is some pretty valuable information. You get to see that these students averaged almost 20 minutes on looking at it, and then you can see that some students either didn't open the assignment, or they looked at it super quickly. So you know who to kind of give that extra, like, hey, get on the assignment, that little push that they need, right? So this is pretty much the reports. I know I'm going a little quick on it, but feel free to reach out and I can go over this a little bit more in detail for you. I am trying to see if I'm missing anything, but I know we're running up against it. Does anybody have any questions? I know that was kind of a quick tutorial on this. Any questions that anybody has in the chat? Debbie or Val?
I don't see any questions in the chat.
Yeah, no questions
Oh.
right now, Marco.
Oh, okay. So that is pretty much it. At least my advice for everybody is either use the instructional sets, the ones that take basically a class period, and it tells the teachers the instructions on how to give instruction for it, or you could just go right into an article and assign it. The good thing about Newsela and using it for literacy time and for enrichment time is that is that's some really valuable time. I know a lot of students are using iStation and they might use it like every day, but this one might be while they go into an enrichment. This would be a really good different assignment, because the good thing about Newsela is a lot of it is current events, and students might not watch the news. A lot of teachers don't watch the news. So something like this, like Biden administration cancels oil and gas in the Arctic Wildlife Refuge, like this is something that they're learning that is current, and it's also building their lexile level. So I strongly recommend it for any kind of literacy or enrichment time that y'all have. But I will go ahead and stop it at that. I hope that this was beneficial and that y'all can start using Newsela. It is a really good program. And I think I'm going to close at that if there's no questions, and then we can